social mission is just synonymous with Colorado Enterprise Fund. And I'll just mention one other area that is gaining interest. I mentioned healthy foods. Childcare is another one. We all know if you're a parent of younger kids, finding reasonable childcare while you go to work is really hard, and the prices are very high, and finding space in existing facilities is very tough. And there are many entrepreneurs around the state coming to us with ideas for childcare facilities.
Hey, it's Nick Armstrong, and you are watching the Founded in FoCo podcast. In every episode, we get to talk with an innovative mover and shaker in our community. And today, we get to talk with somebody who helps create the innovative mover and shakers through funding them, Robert at Colorado Enterprise Fund. Robert, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
It's good to be with you and to be with your viewers. I am Director of Business Navigators at Colorado Enterprise Fund. And Business Navigators is that team of small business consultants that supports all of our customers. We also work with people who want to become one of our customers. So we're MBA types, CPAs, nerdy business types. And we have a heart for small business. And we provide really good service to help people make their businesses strong. Now, I think the interest that people might have in Colorado Enterprise Fund is probably more our lending than the support of people once they decide to become a lender, which is what I represent. But I can also represent the lending side because I've been with CEF for quite a long time. And believe it or not, we have just under 1,000 customers right now. All of them are startup businesses, entrepreneurs, or a growing business. And they've all come to us for capital to help their business be strong. Sometimes it's a solopreneur who just needs maybe $3,000 to get their marketing going. And we all know that you don't want to put $3,000 on your credit cards. If you can get a better way of getting a little startup funding at a better interest rate, safer, then a nonprofit lender like us is the way to go. Other people come to us because they have a really great business idea that's going to have to scale, which means they're going to need to hire employees, which means that they need upfront capital. We help that way too. Yet another way, when businesses sell things, we know that the cash cycle is really hard if you sell things because you got to pay your vendors today. But your customers might not be paying for another month or two. And so how do you handle that gap? Well, that's, the buzzword in business is lending, is just working capital. And so we provide funds in that way too. Now, maybe I'll turn it back to you in just a second, Nick. Maybe I should just say a little bit about, who Colorado Enterprise Fund is, because first people think, well, there's some kind of bank. And we're really not. We're a lender. We're a nonprofit lender, but we're not a bank. We love banks. In fact, banks often send us people like you all, because you'll go to your bank first, and then they'll tell you, well, you haven't been in business long enough for us to help you. Come back after you have 3-4 years of P&Ls to show us. We can help you with the loan. And they send them. They'll send you to us. So we're a nonprofit lender. So you need to know a little bit more about that. Well, I'm gonna lay another buzzword on you, but if you want to look us up, you'll need to know this. We're a community bank, or sometimes we're called a financial a financial partner. But you can just look up coloradoenterprisefund.org and you'll figure out kind of where we come from. So there's a whole class of nonprofit lenders like us around the country. Actually, there's almost a thousand, actually a little over 1,000 like us. And we were in, okay, government sometimes does good things. So then in the 1980s, Congress passed a bill to set up this class of nonprofit lenders like us because they realized that startup businesses were not being served adequately by their banks. And we actually got our start in the 80s. So we're the oldest nonprofit lender in the state. Every year, Congress funds us with capital that we lend out, and not just us, but people like us around the country. Also, the SBA is a major supporter of us. So our loans are often based on SBA capital, right? So we have lots of public money coming in, and that's why we can do what we do. We have a mission to help startup businesses. Yes, we have standards. Every lender does, but our standards are just a little more relaxed than a bank's. And so, in a nutshell, Nick, that's what we do.
It's a rarity when the interviewee interviews themselves.
Oh, well.
So you just rapid fire busted through a whole bunch of the questions I was going to ask you. But so the SBA, your organization is an outgrowth of a government entity, some of the SBA, and a necessary partner to sort of facilitate that cash liquidity of small businesses that are just getting their footing under them.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And speaking of, we all throw rocks at the government, but the SBA is part of the federal government, and small businesses should love the SBA because they are here just to help you through us and through other organizations like the Small Business Development Centers. A lot of you are associated with the Larimer County SBDC or the East Colorado SBDC over in Greeley and all the counties to the east. So that's all SBA.
We heard a little bit from Startup Colorado about some of the challenges that are unique to more rural parts of the state. And I know that your expertise is here in northern Colorado. Where do you see a lot of the requests coming from in terms of help? And not to speak to specific clients, but just if you can tell us a general overview of what's the trend, who's asking for money, what are we seeing that's coming up in the next couple of years?
Well, the current trends are really no different than what they've been for a while, with just a few exceptions. I'll mention the exception. Generally, people come to us who have a retail idea. They want to get some kind of retail sales operation going, whether it's via a sales via the internet or sales through a brick and mortar outfit. So retail is big. Restaurants, food service are big. Mobile food, since 2 or 3 years before the pandemic, mobile food carts, food trucks have been a really great startup idea. And these food trucks are very successful. So we have a request in that area. Um, People who provide a personal, professional service are also big among the people who come to us. So chiropractors, hairstylists, estheticians, people who are trying to get their own business started. I'll just give you an example. That there are a couple of partners who started their own Aveda salon in Loveland just a little over a year ago, and they had been working as stylists in somebody else's salon, and they had the idea of starting their own. They had you always have an idea, right? Everybody has a great idea how to be different, and they were, and they are now very successful. It's called Color Room Aveda Salon in Loveland. So those kinds of services also. Nick, one area that's just a little bit different um, uh, that solopreneurs and small business entrepreneurs are bringing to us is healthy foods, producing healthy foods or getting healthy foods to people. And we're seeing activity in the eastern counties where people have a really great idea for connecting a grower to a market. And so farmers markets, for example, um, through the East Colorado SBDC, we had a workshop recently, and I got to know a participant who had this great idea of, delivering food to people who had poor transportation. And, whenever anybody lives in an area where, unless they have really good transportation, they cannot get to a supermarket, the term that's going around for that is food deserts. And I think this is a real thing. Food deserts occur in big metro areas like downtown Denver, but also in rural areas. And so a lot of ideas to provide healthy foods are bubbling up, and we're funding some of those ideas.
That's a fascinating aspect to me. And I, having run a food-based business before, I have one right now. It is a very tricky model to get down, especially with cash flow. I went the bootstrapping methodology because I could afford to go at a snail's pace with it. But yeah, had I wanted to go a little bit faster, CEF would have been the entity that I would have asked money from.
Yeah.
So this is a really fascinating thing, that you're tackling bigger societal problems such as food deserts and food insecurity. Are there other areas that you're seeing benefits in terms of, I mean, like commercial real estate market is sort of out of control in Fort Collins right now. We've got all of these different entities coming in. We've got a ton of retail space, but not a lot of businesses coming in, blight in some spaces. And I know that the limit for your small business loans is around $50,000 or at $50,000.
Actually, it's not. We do loans up to $1 million, and we're authorized by the SBA to do loans up to $1 million. And we do real estate-based lending. And the SBA has special loan products that they only provide through nonprofit lenders like us that handle real estate at reasonable interest rates. So we do get involved in that area. But you're talking about social impact, social mission, and that's social mission is just synonymous with Colorado Enterprise Fund. And I'll just mention one other area that is gaining interest. I mentioned healthy foods. Childcare is another one. We all know if you're a parent of younger kids, finding reasonable childcare while you go to work is really hard, and the prices are very high, and finding space in existing facilities is very tough. And there are many entrepreneurs around the state coming to us with ideas for childcare facilities. And you mentioned tough businesses like food where the margins are slim. Childcare is another business where margins are slim, and they're slim because the state has created so many regulations about how to set up a childcare facility. These regulations are excellent in that they ensure the safety and the well-being of the children. And if you're a parent, you want to know that you're taking your child to a place that's accredited by the state. But these requirements just make it really, really tough. And so your lender needs to understand childcare and to help guide you in how to put together your plan for childcare. And a member of my team is very expert in this area. And we have several others on my team that can also support childcare businesses. So we can get involved in planning businesses, particularly when it's a tough business model like childcare or food service.
You've already corrected one of my in one of my assumptions, and I'm curious about what is the pathway to get in front of the CEF? Is it to go through the SBDC? Is it to go directly to you? Do you have folks on staff who are ready to answer questions and advise, or is there an intermediary that should be talked to first?
Well, the simple way is come to our website, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button that says Get Started. And you'll fill out just an inquiry form. You'll tell us about your business idea. If you have your business plan done, you'll upload it. If you have your cash projection uploaded, you'll ready to upload, you'll put it there. If you don't have those things ready, fill it out anyway. And then your business idea will pass through people who can help you develop the documentation and the planning that are needed for the loan. In other words, my team, right? Um, However, if you've got your business plan all done and your cash projection and other documents that you need, then you'll go directly to a loan officer. So the beginning is a little bit impersonal. You know, we have these amazing business ideas, and we want to talk to a person about them. I get that, but if you just fill out the loan inquiry form, you'll be talking with a person who will have a lot of care for your business idea and be very supportive pretty soon.
How many businesses do you help in an average year?
In the past 12 months, we brought on just under 300 new borrowers, and that number is increasing. And so in the upcoming 12 months, it might be closer to 350 new borrowers. Um, and we're helping people though they're not necessarily in the lending, what we call the lending pipeline. You know, everybody who sells anything, they have a pipeline. You do too. Everybody listening, you have a pipeline if you haven't thought about it. So we're helping people that are not quite ready to become borrowers yet. And so to that 300, looking at the people my team has been helping in the past 12 months, it's about another 150. Some of those may never be right for a loan with us. That's okay. You know, we if you think it's the possibility, will help you. And then as you develop your plan, you may realize, well, I guess I don't need Colorado Enterprise Fund after all. We go, hey, that's cool. Just go be successful.
What advice would you have for a solopreneur or a small business focused entrepreneur who wants to get started and is ready to maybe think about seeking out funding before they come to you, before they seek out funding from venture capital or bootstrapping it? What would you say to them?
Well, take advantage of all the resources from Founded in FoCo, number one. If you're listening to this because you know Founded in FoCo, so take advantage of everything that they offer. After that, I would suggest your local small business development center. They are in Fort Collins, Greeley, Longmont, Loveland, Boulder. Um, Take advantage because those services are free. They're supported by the SBA, just like my staff. But you can get your ground level planning done with the SBDC, and then you can look if you need funding. You can look at a source. Sometimes, if you're fortunate, it'll be a family member or maybe a partner who wants to invest with you. Or if you need to talk to a lender, then you can talk to Colorado Enterprise Fund. But get your basic work done with Founded in FoCo or an SBDC, I would suggest.
Are there nonprofit alternatives to the Colorado Enterprise Fund, or do you have services for nonprofits as well?
Oh, we do. Right. A nonprofit is a business just like any other business. Their balance sheet doesn't look exactly like a for-profit, and their P&L doesn't. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. I mean, we're a nonprofit, so we're a business. We just don't report and provide profits to shareholders.
So where can we find out more about the Colorado Enterprise Fund and the services that y'all offer?
Come to our website. It's a long URL, but it's just our name, Colorado Enterprise Fund, and you have to remember .org. Right, we're nonprofit, so .org, Colorado Enterprise Fund.org, and you can read about our lending. Yeah, but it's boring. Maybe you want to read about our services first, and so you can go to a page that talks about business navigators and all the things that we do. Once you're ready to think about lending, you'll see that we have different loan products. For example, we have a Black business loan fund where we have an interest rate that's lower than normal because of grants that help us provide that lower rate. We also have an I-10 loan, so individual tax information number. What does I-10 stand for? I'm getting confused about it. But if you don't have a social security number because you're a recent immigrant, then your I-10 is enough to get a loan, right? The SBA is really cool about that. The SBA is, behind so many of our loans. But we have a special loan where grants have enabled us again to have a lower than market interest rate for people who don't have socials, but they have an I-10. And we have some other specialized loan products. For example, for creative industries, you can go read about that. So there's a little bit to see if you go to our website and looking at loans, and also just at Business Navigators, our support people that I represent.
Well, and what a great service to offer, because we consistently hear about how difficult it is to navigate the funding world for the BIPOC businesses, for women who are working on getting a small business started. They have a unique difficulty and a lot of systemic challenges for navigating that system. And it sounds like your organization is directly addressing many of those concerns.
We really do. And of course, you're picking up navigation. That's the name of my team. But that's what we really do. We try to guide people in a helpful way to get their needs met about getting their business started or growing. Now, on the topic of minorities, our mission is to serve minorities in the state in a greater proportion than the population of those minorities would suggest. And when you go to our website, you can look at our impact. The majority of our loans and services are to minority-owned businesses. Women, African-American businesses, Hispanic-owned businesses. We have a number of businesses owned by recent immigrants from Africa. People come to us because of our passion to serve all the parts of Colorado. And people think, America is a great place to come, and it is. And the American dream is still alive. But historically, the American dream has made it easier for people, Nick, that look like you and me, so white males. But the American dream is for everybody. And so we have to work extra hard to make sure that the societal barriers to minority business ownership are dealt with and taken down. And we have a mission to do that.
What a fantastic way to end our podcast today. I love it. Restoring the American dream. Gotta love it.
Yeah, exactly. Making it available to everybody.
Well, and it's only right. I mean, entrepreneurship is the keystone to so much of our community, and having everybody able to play at an equal playing field is such an important mission. And something that's a really noble thing. So thank you for you and your team's work. Is there any parting words of wisdom that you want to leave us with today?
Oh, I was just looking at a statistical sheet from the SBA, and it reminded me that 99% of the businesses in this nation are small businesses. And so you're so important. Roughly half of the people just under half of the people that are employed in this nation are employed by small businesses. So small businesses are the bedrock of our economy. So make your business grow and seek out help.
Awesome. Well, for more great entrepreneurial wisdom from folks like Robert at Colorado Enterprise Fund, visit foundedinfoco.com, visit Robert at coloradoenterprisefund.com and check them out. Make sure you check out all their resources, and we'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Nick Armstrong, and this is a Founded in FoCo podcast. For more great interviews like this one, join us at foundedinfoco.com.